Rania is a special education high school teacher, second year teaching.
Woo!
I've known her since she's my roommate / best friend / we've known each other since second grade, so that's been like,
Oh my god.
how old were you in second grade?
How old's a second grader?
I don't know. Kindergarten is 6. I've been fighting bronchitis for about a month and a half now. Urgent care diagnosed bronchitis. So if you hear me coughing, that's all it is. Don't worry, or don't be spooked or anything like that. We're all good here. First step in this baking is hand sanitize your fucking hands. And then when you're done hand sanitizing your hands, turn on your Laureen album. For those of you who like Laureen or good music, definitely listen to that. It's great. I feel very uncomfortable right now.
So, well, to cut that uncomfort, someone says if you were to change your hair color again, what would it be?
I would shave my head. Been wanting to shave my head for a long time. Okay, so we're making something called choux pastry that is going to become cream puffs and eclairs and a Paris Brest, which if you've had, the easy way to think of it is just like a cream puff. So it's kind of like a really tender ball of baked pastry, and on the inside we're going to fill it with pastry cream. And we can turn those, that's exactly the same stuff that they use to make eclairs and Paris Brest, which I think we've all had eclairs and they're delicious and amazing. Yeah, we're going to get started with something that I don't know how to pronounce it. It's a French thing. I just pronounce it as a kraken. I think it's like cracklin, or I'm sure that the French pronunciation is much different. If you've got all the ingredients, if you're actually watching and you're participating, this is all for the cracklin, how do you say it? The cracklin ingredients. Take our flour, take our soft butter, take our brown sugar, and I do have experience as a professional pastry chef, and I have experience doing things like really technical and I don't know, like exactly step by step. But for me, because I have been doing this for a really long time, and because I do have experience, I tend to just kind of go like whatever the easiest is for me as far as like what I've learned in making all of this stuff, and like all the techniques I've learned and all that stuff, and just, you know, whatever. So I think like the technical way to make what I call the kraken is to like blend it, or to what's it called? Like a food processor or something like that, kind of like how you make paste or pie dough. But I just use my fingers because I'm filthy.
Someone says, how'd you get into baking?
How to get into baking? So I just always loved. Well, okay, so I was. Heavily influenced as a kid, being raised by my mom and by my aunt and by my grandma a lot, and they all did like everything from scratch at home. At least as far as I can remember, they did everything from scratch. So I was around a lot of cooking and baking growing up, and that sort of got me interested in Food Network. When I was sick at home, I would lay in bed and I would just watch Food Network all day. I loved Giada. Every Day Time with Giada. I loved Ina Garden. I think those were kind of the only two I really watched that I really liked. And yeah, so there's that. And then when I got into college and I was by myself, I was just like cooking more, obviously, and baking more, and I became a raw vegan, and so that made me like really focus on food and what I was making and how I was making it. So I got more interested then, and I was interested in the challenge of making yummy things being raw and vegan, so that made me sort of pay attention to food more, and then I just started getting into it way more, and then there came a time when I needed to get a day job after I did Spring Awakening, and that money was gone, and I did When We Rise, all that money was gone, I needed to get a day job, and I was like, I wonder if I can just be a pastry chef, like I wonder if I can just bullshit my way into that, and somehow I did. An amazing pastry chef let me work in his bakery, and learned a lot. And then I did another job, and then I needed more money, so I got another job as a pastry chef. Worked at this place called Friends and Family in East Hollywood, and I learned a lot from that. That is like my favorite bakery in the world. And here we are. And then working at Camp Tadia since I was like 15 or 16. I eventually started running activities and programs for the campers, and I eventually just made my own program of something I was interested in. I thought that I could make fun programs for the campers, and that's when I started teaching baking classes. And then in the past few years, I've been teaching like a few baking classes to my friends in like big groups, and that's been a lot of fun. So just lots of just like, hey, I kind of like this. I'm gonna try it. Okay, I'm gonna try and do it professionally, and then just like learning from all that and getting into that. So we mix all of our Kraken mixture together. We're going to put it in between two parchment papers, and then we're going to roll it out. This is a really dry mixture, even though you had that really soft butter. It's a really dry mixture, and it like breaks apart a lot when you roll it. It's totally fine. This is, when you see what I'm going to do with this, this is, it doesn't need to be perfect. It doesn't need to look perfect at all. We're just going to roll this out like pretty thin. Honestly, don't worry about going too thin, just because we're going to refrigerate this and it's going to chill the butter and it's going to all harden up. The reason we're doing this between two I don't really have a huge sweet tooth. A lot of times I'll make things and not really eat them a whole lot, or I'll make them with a lot less amount of sugar if I'm actually trying to enjoy it. I like fresh fruit. I just like fresh fruit and like cream like that. That's like the best dessert in my opinion. Okay, so that's pretty thin. Not that big. We're gonna refrigerate this now. Ronnie's doing an excellent job. Okay. I will say, making choux pastry, spelled C-H-O-U-X, is like one of my favorite things to make because it's just such a cool process and you kind of feel really professional when you do it, even though the process of making it is actually really easy. So, saucepan. We're going to take all of our choux ingredients. Now, one of the eggs out of the 5 is for what?
Katie says, Rania, what's the worst thing Austin has ever made you try?
What is it?
I don't know. I feel like once you tricked me into having like something you said would be really sweet, and it was like the most bitter thing ever.
Oh, that's right. I did do that. But didn't I make you eat bugs once too?
Oh, multiple times. Yeah. It's horrible.
At camp as a prank, we would buy like for the week that's for campers who are deaf, hard of hearing, and have parents who are deaf or hard of hearing. Lots of pranks. And so when I was running a program, when I was a program counselor at camp, I would, like some of my prank ideas, a lot of my prank ideas involve bugs, and you can go online and order packets of dead bugs that are like, that are edible. They're disgusting, but you can eat them. And so there were a few times when I like put like a bug in the food or something like that, or like in a pastry. And I'd be like, Ron, try this, cupcake or whatever, and it had crickets in it. Okay, so these are all of our choux ingredients, hopefully, because they're all kind of mixed up. So let's just hope this is right. A lot of times when I bake, it's kind of just like, let's hope this is right. Okay, so step 1 in making choux pastry is, I'm going to put this on like, my stove is kind of big. I just moved here. I'm going to put this to like an 8. And I'm going to ask Ronnie what she's laughing at. But first, you're going to take all of your wet ingredients, which is the milk and the water. Put that in the saucepan. Our butter. Put that in there. You can be closer. You can be closer. our salt and sugar. So what we're gonna do with this is it's like really easy. What happens with milk, even though there's water in this, is it sort of just foams up like crazy. So that's why I'm not having it on high, because milk is kind of temperamental. It'll burn really easily. It's like on, like, you know, somewhere between medium and high. Even if you had it on medium, it would probably boil up as well. But I'm just gonna put it there. So we're gonna heat this up. The butter is gonna melt like organically, basically. It's just gonna melt, so you don't need to like mix it up a bunch or whatever. Wait for this to start to foam up. That means the milk is boiling. And then once we do that, we're going to dump all of our flour in and create what is called a panade. And that's going to be a cool little reaction you're going to get to see. So this will take a minute. So Rania, what were you laughing about?
Maggie said, once Rania made me have eggs and hot dogs, and that was much worse than bugs.
Eggs and hot dogs are disgusting. Rania swears that eggs and hot dogs are... So Rania's like amazing at a lot of things, and she's an amazing person and does a lot of these great things for the world. She's so bad in the kitchen. She's so bad in the kitchen. And she like swears that eggs and hot dogs are delicious, and she made me try them before. But it's not just like silly, like, oh, this is so good. It's like swears that they're so good, like, and they're really not. Really not.
In my defense, I grew up having that, and it was great. I just don't do it like my mom.
So we're slowly heating up. We got some steam coming out. My drink is almost gone, so I'm going to have to make a drink in a little bit. Okay, so while this is happening, I'll talk about some other things. So, at some point in this little baking class, we're going to use some vanilla, which... Now, this is just like a small portion of my baking ingredients and tools in this kitchen. I have like a... Battery's not good. So, let's go here. I'm gonna make another drink. I'm a really bad drink maker. I don't know how to do it at all. I'm really bad at it.
Okay, well, while you're making that drink, do you have any movie recommendations?
Movie recommendations. Judy was absolutely mind-blowing. The performance was just like, never seen anything like it. My favorite movies, I'll recommend those. TV shows. If you haven't seen the Hillary documentary series, Ronnie and I just watched it, and it was really, really good. And it's like a lot about Hillary, obviously, but it's a lot just about feminism in general, so that was really good. Movies, I can't really think of anything off the top of my head right now to watch, but obviously some of my favorites. Stoker is a great one. Mia Wachowski or something, I don't know if her last name, is in it. Nicole Kidman. That's a great one. Black Swan is one of my favorite movies. Go see that one. Dancer in the Dark. Actually, if you're at home, as you all should be, hopefully, some movies that you probably never heard of that are really great. They're really sad or psychological. Stoker, Dancer in the Dark, which is Bjork's. She's in that movie. That one's amazing. The Place Beyond the Pines. That one is amazing. I'll just say those three for now.